To the Nürburgring for day two, race two of day one of the weekend for the ADAC Formula 4 Germany. It is the final round of the season, the second of three races this weekend. And if you joined us this morning, you would have seen an excellent race that took place, particularly between championship leader Andrea Kimi Antonelli and Rafael Kamara. It was a race that took place on a very slippery track because of drizzle and rain that had been ongoing throughout, well, much of yesterday and today. The rain has stopped, the blue skies were up above, and it looked as though we were in for a dry race for this race two of the day. But hey, look what's happened. The rain has started falling. There's surprise. It must be the Nürburgring, because the rain has just started falling. The cars went to the grid on the slick tyres, but as you can see, it is now wet weather tyres that are being fitted to the cars. And once again, there is drama, as there is another variable thrown at these young drivers as they get ready for their penultimate race of the season. The weather conditions did not deter Andrea Kimi Antonelli, because he went on to win the race despite teammate Rafael Kamara leading much of it, having started from pole position. And Andrea Kimi Antonelli has extended his championship lead to 47 points, and with 50 points remaining on the board, he is now within spitting distance of the championship. He could seal it in this race. We're looking at the moment at Uga Chukwu, who also races for Prema Racing. He has been very, very impressive on his debut in the ADAC Formula 4 Germany. And this is just his second event, and he has qualified on the second position on the grid on the front row alongside Rafael Kamara. Rafael Kamara scoring his second pole position ever in ADAC Formula 4 Germany. Both of them this weekend, one earlier today and the other for this race. There is the championship leader. That is the aforementioned Andrea Kimi Antonelli. He starts third on the grid. His main championship rival is Taylor Barnard, the number 77 car that has been run by PHM Racing, with Taylor Barnard at the wheel. Starts alongside. Coming into this weekend, Taylor Barnard was very much on a roll. He had closed in on Andrea Kimi Antonelli's lead in the championship, but now his chances of winning the championship and becoming the third consecutive British driver to win the ADAC Formula 4 Germany Championship is hanging by a thread. In fact, something slightly thinner than a thread, because it really is going to take something bad to befall Andrea Kimi Antonelli, i.e. two non-finishes, for Taylor Barnard to stand a chance of winning the championship. We could see it settled in this race, and adjustments being made to the back of the Prema Racing car at this late stage, mainly brought on by the weather conditions, and that is the number 13 of James Wharton. There is Nikita Bedrin, the number 15 car for PHM Racing. He had a fairly quiet race by his standards. Also picked up a penalty in the first race of this weekend, and he came home in 9th place. He starts 6th on the grid for this race. You can see the teams now rushing, adjusting anti-roll bars, adjusting suspension, putting wet weather tyres on the cars. It really did look like we were going to get a race in the dry at one point. Oh, but this is the Nürburgring. Nothing is taken for granted when it comes to the weather at the Nürburgring. There is Valentin Kloos. Valentin, who joined the series in May of this year, having become old enough. He is a protege of the ADAC Sports Foundation, and he has already proven himself to be someone very useful indeed in open wheel racing, and we're keeping an eye on him. We hope to see more of him during next year. You had a quick glimpse there of Mikhail Sauter. He's a driver who has come up through the ranks as well. We saw him last year making his debut in the ADAC Formula 4 Germany, the young privateer in a team that is operated by his father, and he has really, really enjoyed his debut. That's the Jonas Reed car, number 41, another of the PHM Racing cars. The crew having to work quite hard here to get this done because there will be a time limit when they need to be off the grid. So any adjustments will need to be made shortly. Just looking out of the studio from which we're broadcasting, and the safety car has just circulated around the track. So it looks like we are scheduled to get underway. Well, it says at 4:30, but that has now passed. We're already running a little bit later because of the weather conditions affecting much of the racing that we've seen from other classes this weekend. So it looks like the start is delayed a little bit further still. So the wet weather playing its usual tricks here. The Nürburgring, what a spectacular place this is. We are in the shadow of Nürburgring Castle here in the Eiffel Mountains, and it is a circuit that is famous for having its own little ecosystem. Just when you think it is going to get dry or it's going to be wonderful, then the rain comes and the fog comes. It was pretty foggy when we turned up here this morning. That cleared, replaced by the rain. You can see how wet the track is, and suddenly all the strategy and all the planning is out of the window as the wet weather tyres are put away in the hope they might get to use them tomorrow. One thing is for sure, there is going to be no slick tyres touching the surface of the track during this race this afternoon. It will be a 30-minute race, but at the moment we are just pausing as we wait to see what is reported from race control. I'm looking at our timing screens. It says the estimated start of the formation lap is at 4:30. That was in fact 2 minutes ago. So clearly that is not happening. Right now the board is being shown, the 3-minute board. So it will be time for the teams to clear the grid and to remove all the paraphernalia from the track, and it will be down to the drivers to do all the hard work. This is such a test for these young drivers. It is a great entry formula into open wheel Formula racing. Formula 4 operates around the world, and in Europe, a number of series. Of course, the ADAC Formula 4 Germany, a very famous series that has seen many champions of the future coming up through the ranks. And it was Ollie Beerman who won the championship last year in dominant style, and we've seen him moving on towards Formula 3. The year before that, it was Johnny Edgar, another driver who is making a name for himself in Formula 3. And of course, Théo Pourchaire before that, and he's a driver who will be taking part in a free practice session for Alfa Romeo in Formula 1 later on this year. And it just shows that when you win in the ADAC Formula 4 category, you make a name for yourself. That is spotted, and Théo Pourchaire has had a great run as he's risen up through the ranks of Formula 2, Formula 3, and now is on the cusp of Formula 1. So many of these drivers, stars of the future, none more so than the driver who could well clinch his championship during the next half an hour. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, something of a revelation, as he has proven to be almost unbeatable in ADAC Formula 4 Germany. He has won 8 races, the 8th of which came this morning. He has finished every race in the top 4, and all bar 2 in the top 2. That just shows how good he is. He knows nothing other than podium finishes, and he has won, well, by my calculation, 50% of all of the races in the ADAC Formula 4 Germany this year. That is a remarkable statistic. You can see that the grid is now clearing. The 30-second board is being shown, and shortly these cars will burst into life. This really will be a test for these young drivers. The wet conditions here at the Nürburgring could well catch drivers out, and any driver who shows too much confidence could so easily just put a wheel on to a white line, out onto the grass and go spinning, and suddenly the race is over. Andrea Kimi Antonelli Doesn't need to do anything spectacular. He just needs to keep it on the tarmac and bring it home. It's what he's good at. He starts third on the grid. Our pole sitter is Rafael Kamara, his second pole ever in ADAC Formel 4 Germany. His first was this morning. Alongside him, Uga Chukwu, great qualifying from him. And then Andrea, Kimi Antonelli and Taylor Barnard are two drivers that are still in the championship hunt on the second row. Just to remind you, as the cars start their formation lap, it's not just the Drivers' Championship, there's also a Rookie Championship. And it's Rafael Kamara who leapfrogged Rasmus Simmies this morning to lead the Rookie Championship by 6 points. Simmies having a nightmare this morning, which saw him record a non-finish after a collision with another car. That car being Jonas Reed, and he surrendered his lead in the Rookie Championship. Prima Racing have all but sealed the team championship. Mathematically, they are catchable, but it is pretty unlikely. So it is still 3 championships up for grabs. The one we're most interested in is the Driver Championship. As we watch the cars on the formation lap here at the Nürburgring, unlike the visit of the Formula 4 back at round 4 in August, which was in the sunshine, that took place on the sprint circuit. This is taking place on the big Grand Prix circuit. It is 5.148 kilometers around. That's quite a long way round for these drivers. That's 3.199 miles. There are 15 turns, 6 to the left and 9 to the right. About 7.7 meters of elevation change. The track is between 10 and 25 meters wide, which gives us plenty of overtaking opportunities. The best one is into turn 1 as the cars come along the pit straight under braking, but it's a tricky old corner because it has a weird reverse camber that tips many a driver off into the gravel trap. And there's also a change of surface as they head into turn 2, which can catch a driver out as well. It's different kind of tarmac into turn 2. So it is a tricky circuit, and the wet weather will only add to the drama that may unfold within the next 30 minutes. Just to remind you, the top 8 finishers in this race will be reversed to form the grid of race 3, which will be the final race of the season, which will take place tomorrow afternoon here at the Nürburgring. So out of turn 15 we come for the end of the formation lap, and soon the cars will be lined up on the grid and ready to go. If we can get through this without a safety car, it will be something of a result. Fingers crossed we can do that. But this is a great test, great training for these young drivers as they learn the ropes in the world of motorsport and open wheel racing, learning how to not just go flat out, but to tiptoe around the tricky circuit in these conditions. So the final few cars now lining up at the back of the pack. And in a few moments, the 4 lights at the top of your screen will light up. And when they go out, we will be ready to go racing. It will be 30 minutes of racing ahead of us. We wait for clearance at the back. The green flag is about to be waved. There we go. That says that all is good at the back. Now, eyes to those lights. The 4 red lights, when they go off, we are racing, and away we go, and painfully slow off the grid. Rafael Kamara looked to be very slow, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli getting the jump on all of them. In through to turn 1. It is as you were in race 1 because it's Kamara and Antonelli side by side. It looks like it's going to go to Antonelli. So, Antonelli there, but that is the 88 Rafael Kamara doing a half spin. He collects it up. So our pole sitter having a big slide. He points it in the right direction, but suddenly his hopes of getting a race win have disappeared. Now look at this, Taylor Barnard up into second place. This is going to be his last opportunity to rescue this championship, but he has James Wharton in the number 13 car, another of the Prema cars, challenging him. James Wharton looking to the inside, and Wharton is through into second place. Taylor Barnard drops down. But look at the lead that Andrea Kimi Antonelli has, showing some immense driving skill. leading the way from the number 13 car of James Wharton. Taylor Barnard is there as well. Uga Chukwu, who started on the front row, still very new to ADAC Formula 4 Germany, slots in behind, and then behind them, that looks like Valentin Kloos. So Rafael Kamara, after a nightmare start, have that half spin, has dropped back now. Taylor Barnard is challenging James Wharton. He needs to get after Andrea Kimi Antonelli. He's going to have to take risks. He's going to have to do whatever it takes, because if things finish as they are now, then Andrea Kimi Antonelli will be champion. Taylor Barnard not only needs to get up into second place, he needs to get past, because there is just 3 points between first and second, 3 points that need to be scored that will mean that Andrea Kimi Antonelli takes the championship lead. That is all that is between it. So Andrea Kimi Antonelli leading the way out of turn 15, and across the line he comes to complete what has felt like a very long lap in these slippery conditions. In second place is James Wharton crossing the line, and it is nearly 2 seconds between first and second. James Wharton in that second place, Taylor Barnard in third, then Uga Chukwu, and then Valentin Kloos and Mikhail Sauter, who really does seem to enjoy the slippery conditions. And Mikhail Sauter has Rasmus Utsimis behind him. Now Utsimis has got ahead of Rafael Kamara. This will be significant as far as the rookie championship goes, and that race likely to go down to the very last race of the season. But at the moment, if things stay as they are, Andrea Kimi Antonelli will be champion. There is a 47-point lead between first and second in the championship. And look at this, Rafael Kamara has damage to his front wing. Kamara into the pits. This is going to drop him to the very, very back of the pack. So that incident that we saw at the start of the race where he did the half spin, and they having to take the wheel off to effect repairs to the car. There's a new front wing waiting, but it looks as though there may be damage to suspension as well. And they're saying stop the car. It really does look as though Rafael Kamara is not going to score any points this afternoon. If he does, it's going to be at the absolute lower end. You can see a new push rod being fitted to the number 88 car. So that drama early on having a big effect. Now this is Mikhail Sauter and Valentin Kloos. And it's Sauter challenging Valentin Kloos for 5th place. And Mikhail Sauter down in 6th place at the moment. You can see the cars twitching as they come out of the corner through the mist and through the spray. The track is very, very slippery. Now, you may ask, why are they working on that car to try and repair it? Because surely he's going to lose a number of laps. But there are 11 cars in the race, the 11th being Rafael Kamara. And if he can finish, and there is the possibility he may score points. Points are paid down to 10th place. And so he just needs one car to retire, and Rafael Kamara could be back into the points. But certainly a podium is absolutely out of the question. That man there, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, has extended his lead to 2.4 seconds over second place James Wharton. Taylor Barnard in 3rd place. And to remind you that Antonelli needs to outscore Taylor Barnard by just 3 points to take the championship and have it sealed before the final race of the season. If things stay as they are, the champion for 2022 will be Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Taylor Barnard down in 3rd place. He is 47 points adrift in the championship standings. James Wharton running 2nd in this race. Finally, those repairs have been done. That was a mega quick change. And there's somebody who's run off the track. One of the Prema cars, I think it might have been Uga Chukwu. We'll have a look in a moment. Hopefully we'll get a perspective of that. So, no, it's James Wharton. So the number 13 car of James Wharton running wide off the track. So our 2nd place car running wide. He's dropped a long way back. In fact, he's going to be right down in, probably, it looks like that's Nandavid Birimbakti coming through as well. So down in 10th place, and that could be a gift for Rafael Kamara. Our leader, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, up to 2nd place is Taylor Barnard, but that will not be enough. Taylor Barnard will need to get past the race leader, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, if he wants to take this championship to the next race. You can see the rain is absolutely pouring down now. It is very tricky out there, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, well, he needs to tiptoe around because this championship is not signed and sealed until he brings the car home. He may be leading the race, but he sticks it in the gravel trap, then suddenly Taylor Barnard will be very much back in the championship hunt. At the moment, it is Antonelli who's doing everything right. You have to get up pretty early in the morning to see Antonelli make a mistake. And he is doing everything that he needs to do to hold on to the lead of this race. In 2nd is Taylor Barnard, just tiptoeing around himself, but he needs to somehow close in on Andrea Kimi Antonelli. And of course, what would be the dream scenario for Barnard would be a safety car, because a safety car would put him back on the rear wing of Andrea Kimi Antonelli with the opportunity to potentially fight for the win of the race and keep the championship alive until tomorrow. As things stand at the moment, pretty spaced out. It is still Andrea Kimi Antonelli who is leading the way from Taylor Barnard. And if things remain as they are, it will be Antonelli who will be crowned the champion for 2022 with 1 race remaining. So we're looking there at Mikhail Sauter, and Sauter, who has Rasmus Utsimi's behind him. So Mikhail Sauter down in 5th place, and Rasmus Utsimi's, who needs to make hay while the sun shines, if you pardon the expression, because his main challenger in the Rookie Championship, Rafael Kamara, is at the back of the pack, having had that pit stop to change that push rod and to change the front wing. So Rasmus Utsimi's, after a torrid race 1, now needs to move forwards. He tracks Mikhail Sauter all of the way. Sauter circulating in 5th place. And Rasmus Utsimi's needs to find a route past the 21 car without sweeping off a front wing or doing any damage. But these conditions, I cannot tell you how treacherous they are. Visibility is absolutely 0. And the cars, you can see them as the drivers get onto the power. You can see the back end just stepping out, the cars snaking. Now Utsimi's lining up Mikhail Sauter for that 5th place. Along the pit straight they will come, and this will be the best opportunity. It takes a bit of bravery to duck out of the spray and make that move. Ahead of them is Valentin Kloos, who is driving with great maturity. So under braking into turn 1. And Mikhail Sauter goes deep into the corner, takes the fastest line around, and Utsimi's can do nothing about the number 21 car at the moment. At the front, Andrea Kimi Antonelli has opened up his lead to 3.5 seconds over Taylor Barnard. We saw James Wharton doing a little bit of rallycross. He's down in 8th place at the moment, and he will be looking to try and make progress from there. But still, our focus is on this fight here for 5th place. Mikhail Sauter, the privateer, who has done so well this season in the number 21 car, up against the might of Prema and the might of PHM and Genza Motorsport. And this, the father and son combination of Sauter Racing. They tow their car to the racetrack with an old Mercedes Sprinter van. They tow it from Switzerland, and they do so well with such limited resources. So Mikhail Sauter, who seems to relish in the wet conditions, the great leveler, the weather, and Mikhail Sauter holding on to that 5th place ahead of Rasmus Utsimi's the very impressive Valentin Kloos in 4th place. And then ahead of them is Ugo Gachukwu, who had that start on the front row. Look at Mikhail Sauter sliding around the corner, drifting the number 21 car. And still he holds off Rasmus Utsimies, the driver that needs to challenge and get those points to get back to the top of the rookie standings. Rafael Kamara still down in 11th place, some 3 laps down, so he will need one of these drivers to drop out for him to score points, and it is very much damage limitation for Rafael Kamara. After that first lap half spin and damage to the push rod of the car, there is our race leader, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, very much in control of this and about 18 minutes away from potentially winning his first championship, the ADAC Formula 4 Germany. He's already stamped his authority on the Italian F4 series. And here in ADAC Formula 4 Germany, he has been dominant. He has won 50% of all the races that he started. He's had 2nd places and he's had 2 4th places. Apart from that, it has been wins all the way, and he is something of a revelation, a name that we will be talking about for many years to come. Andrea Kimi Antonelli. The rain has actually stopped in parts of the circuit, and you can see how quickly the Nürburgring dries out. Looking out onto the pit straight, and it is still very wet indeed. And I think it's been raining on one part of the circuit, but not, it's drying out quite quickly on another part of the circuit, which makes it all the more tricky for these drivers, switching from the wet and the dry conditions. But Antonelli just taking it all in his stride as he leads the way. It was 4.1 seconds last time around over Taylor Barnard, who has fought so hard. He said after the last round at the Lausitz Ring that he felt as though the championship was over. And with Andrea Kimi Antonelli, the man who just doesn't make mistakes and knows very little other than winning, he has had the ultimate rival, the Prema Racing driver, who has been just so strong, continuing to, as he crosses the line, and the 4.1 second gap is up to 4.5, so he's continuing to stretch his legs over that car there, the number 77 of Taylor Barnard, the driver from Norwich in the UK, who was looking to become the 3rd consecutive British driver to win the ADAC Formula 4 Germany series. But that dream now slipping away. We approach the halfway distance of this race. 15 minutes in the book and 15 minutes to go. And Andrea Kimi Antonelli doing all that he needs to do to get this championship sewn up with 1 race remaining. Still mastering the conditions. You can see Taylor Barnard fighting the car. And on the parts of the track that are drying out, of course, he needs to keep the tyres cool. So he'll be looking for the water on the drying parts of the track, because those wet weather tyres wear out very quickly if you run them hard on a dry track. So Taylor Barnard continuing on his way. He's had 4 wins this year in the ADAC Formula 4 Germany. And there's 8 wins for the car in front of him, looking to make it 9. And what a way it would be to win the championship if he can do it by winning the race as well. Andrea Kimi Antonelli starting the 2nd half of the race, leading from that man there, Taylor Barnard. You can see how hard he's pushing. That was around turn 11, now towards turn 12. The number 77 car heading up towards the Vidal chicane, tiptoeing around, picking up a bit of curb, not too much curb. Have to be careful because those curbs have very little in the way of grip. Now out onto the pit straight comes our race leader, Andrea Kimi Antonelli. 4.596 was the gap last time. There's confirmation on the pit board that is waved to the driver by the Prema Racing team. And now he's opened it up again, 5.3 seconds. So anybody who thinks that Andrea Kimi Antonelli is just backing off and taking it easy are very much mistaken. He is pushing all the way. And he's now about 13.5 minutes away from winning the ADAC Formula 4 Championship for 2022. He has looked the favourite from very much the beginning of the season, and he has been at the top of the points. He's never let go of that position. Taylor Barnard pushing so hard to try and catch him. Uga Chukwu in just his second weekend for ADAC Formula 4 Germany in third place. Valentin Kloos in fourth. And you can hear the tires squealing as Andrea Kimi Antonelli finds the drier part of the track. And just pushing and pushing all the way to the end. Running very much out on his own at the moment. Out towards turn 10 and 11. The Prema Racing team have prepared a great car. Other of the Prema drivers further back through the pack. And now the car with the yellow halo is Valentin Kloos with Mikhail Sauter reeling him in. So let's have a look at that gap. It was just 1/10 of a second between them last time around. Mikhail Sauter, who was in the ADAC Formula 4 Germany last year, using his experience and clearly his love of the slippery conditions to close in on Valentin Kloos. Now Valentin Kloos picked up his first podium at the last event at the Lausitzring, but now he's going to come under pressure from Sauter. The conditions will test him out into turn 14 and 15. And Valentin Kloos has Mikhail Sauter behind, and James Wharton after the earlier moments closing in on both of them. This is the closest battle on the track. Now, is Mikhail Sauter going to be able to do anything about the car in front of him as we head into turn 1? Kloos moves to the inside. Sauter has a little look to the outside. Kloos moves across to block. He's allowed to do that. He's allowed a change of direction under braking. Still Valentin Kloos holding off the Swiss driver behind him. Mikhail Sauter just following the number 19 car at the moment for PHM Racing. It's been great to welcome PHM to the grid this year. And Valentin Kloos, the driver who has been sponsored by the ADAC Sports Foundation, following in the footsteps of Tim Tramnitz, who was in that position this time last year. And great training for a quality driver. Now Kloos under immense pressure, but if Mikhail Sauter makes a move, it could be James Wharton who benefits, because Wharton in the Prema car behind Sauter will jump into any gaps that he sees. So now Sauter needs to force Valentin Kloos into a mistake, but he goes wide himself. Suddenly James Wharton is challenging Mikhail Sauter. Sauter, having been hunting for so long, is now defending. So the number 21 car having to make himself as wide as possible to fend off James Wharton. That's allowing Valentin Kloos to break clear in front. Still Mikhail Sauter in 6th place. Valentin Kloos ahead of him in 5th. And behind them, it's James Wharton. Valentin Kloos, the man on a mission, moving forwards. Mikhail Sauter now trying to take that position away again. These three cars, not much between them. You can see them just sliding as they put the power on. And out onto the pit straight we come. Valentin Klus once again. Mikhail Sauter lining him up into turn 1. And this is our race leader. We're just looking at him now. He's still holding on to that position. 7.6 seconds last time around. We suddenly switched to him. I just wondered whether he'd had a moment. But you can see he's running very much on his own. 7.6 seconds ahead of Taylor Barnard. In second place, Uga Chukwu, who has been running very much on his own, but looking to pick up his second podium in the series and showing why he is a driver that has been touted for great things in the future. But Andrea Kimi Antonelli continuing around towards turns 8 and 9 in the Prema racing car. 9 laps in the book, and it's a 7.635 gap between first and second place. We have 8 minutes remaining of this race, and this fight continues. And now Valentin Klus has fallen back, as has Mikhail Sauter. So Sauter has run off the track. That's allowed James Wharton through. So Wharton has already dispatched Sauter. He's dispatched Valentin Klus as well. So James Wharton goes from 7th up to 5th place. And Valentin Klus can do nothing about it. Now Mikhail Sauter clearly has had a little bit of an excursion into the gravel. He's dropped back. Now Valentin Klus challenging the car in front of him. The Australian driver who has just sneaked through and taken that position away. And Valentin Klus has all the work to do to get back past him. Our race leader crosses the line. It was 7.6 seconds last time around. We'll keep an eye on that, because in a few moments we'll find out what the gap is, and it is that is Sauter in the gravel trap. So Mikhail Sauter in the gravel trap. This is almost certainly going to bring out a safety car. So Mikhail Sauter is stranded out between 12 and 13, just heading up towards turn 13. That car is not going anywhere. So we saw him going wide into the gravel. Now this may well bring out a safety car. This could be a sting in the tail. It could be the absolute last chance for Taylor Barnard if the safety car does come out. I can't believe they're going to leave Mikhail Sauter there for another 6 minutes. Of course, there's every possibility they might. At the moment, it's a 7.5 second lead for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. His main championship rival, Taylor Barnard, is behind as we see Valentin Klus sliding around the corner. It is Uga Chukwu in 3rd place. Rasmus Utsimi's in 4th ahead of James Wharton. And the safety car is out. So, safety car is deployed. That will bring the cars down to a slow place. So, in this, what looked like an absolute dead cert and a runaway win for Andrea Kimi Antonelli, there is a final roll of the dice for Taylor Barnard. This will be his last opportunity to make a challenge for the win and do something about Andrea Kimi Antonelli. If Antonelli finishes in front of Taylor Barnard, the championship will be over. If Barnard can get past Andrea Kimi Antonelli, it will take the championship to the final race tomorrow. This is, of course, assuming we do get back into green flag conditions, because, of course, the Mikhail Sauter car has to be removed. The marshals have already set about doing that. Here comes our race leader, Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Along the pit straight, there is the safety car waiting for him. We keep one eye on the clock. So this may well be a dash for the cash at the end. Taylor Barnard will have the opportunity to close in on Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and assuming they can move the Mikhail Sauter car quickly enough, then Taylor Barnard will have one last chance to get past Andrea Kimi Antonelli and take this championship to tomorrow's race. Big ifs indeed, because you have to get up pretty early in the morning to find a route past Andrea Kimi Antonelli. So the car's circulating behind the safety car at the moment. And the yellow flag's waving, just allowing everybody to catch up. And in the background, you can see Ugo Chukwu looking to score his second podium in ADAC Formula 4. So, safety car leading the cars around on the track that is drying. 3.5 minutes to go. Now, will we be able to get this race back underway? And will Taylor Barnard be able to find a route past Andrea Kimi Antonelli? So Andrea Kimi Antonelli leading the way. And there is the Mikhail Sauter car being removed from the gravel. Andrea Kimi Antonelli less than 3 minutes away from winning his first title in the ADAC Formula 4 Germany. Taylor Barnard now requiring a non-finish from Andrea Kimi Antonelli if he wants to take this one. So we continue around behind the safety car with just over 2 minutes remaining, and it's looking to me like this race is not going to get going. So the cars continue, but with less than 2 minutes remaining, it's going to be a struggle to get this field back up to racing speed. We may potentially get one lap, but Andrea Kimi Antonelli now on the edge of winning his first title in ADAC Formula 4 Germany. The cars behind just weaving to keep heat into the tyres on this chilly day here at the Nürburgring. It's Andrea Kimi Antonelli who leads the way from Taylor Barnard, Ugo Chukwu, Rasmus Utzimis and James Wharton. There's a board being handed out, timing boards by the Prema team. And we are surely into the last lap of the race now. So it looks like this race is gonna finish behind the safety car, and it's gonna be Andrea Kimi Antonelli who wins the title in the ADAC Formula 4 Germany. We had hopes we might get back up to racing and we might see a bit of drama towards the end. Now we have notification that the safety car is in on this lap, but it will be as the cars, I believe this is the last lap. I just need to check. There may be just one more lap. I haven't had notification of the last lap, so potentially we might get one lap under green flag. We're not getting the messages from race control of whether this is considered to be the last lap or not. The clock has struck 0. So this will be the safety car coming into the pit lane, and in a few moments it will be Andrea Kimi Antonelli who will lead the cars across the line. It's Andrea Kimi Antonelli from Taylor Barnard and Ugo Chukwu. The 1, 2, 3, Rasmus Utzimis, who will have made a big inroad into the rookie championship. That one will go down to the last race, Rafael Kamara. But as things stand at the moment, it's going to be Andrea Kimi Antonelli who will become the champion of the ADAC Formula 4 Germany for 2022. So for the final time, out along the back straight, in towards turn 10 we come, behind the safety car. There was a message that flashed up that said safety car in this lap, and I think that just came up temporarily on our timing screens, but we'd expect the cars to cross the line. It may just duck off before the cars come out of the final corner to allow them to cross the line and receive the checkered flag. But a fairly quiet end to this race. Now the lights are off on the safety car, so it will lead the cars around. Andrea Kimi Antonelli now in sight of his championship in the ADAC Formula 4 Germany. Heading around towards the Wiedel chicane for the very last time. And out on towards the pit straight in just a few moments. And here we come. Out of the final corner. It is a long old lap here. And back across the finish line, it is Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who is the 2022 champion of the ADAC Formula 4 Germany. He takes the win and he takes the championship. Andrea Kimi Antonelli writing in the history books. He wins the race for Prema Racing and he wins the championship. Taylor Barnard did all that he could do, but he could only come home in second place in this race. The championship is decided with one more race remaining, and it goes the way of Andrea Kimi Antonelli. The number 12 car for Prema Racing is the champion. Taylor Barnard in second place. He did all that he could, but he had nothing for the Prema Racing car. And in third place, Uga Chukwu, who scores his first podium in ADAC Formula 4 Germany, ahead of Rasmus Utsimies, James Wharton and Valentin Kloos. Jonas Reed in seventh place. Nan David Birenbachti, a quiet race from him, and Nikita Bedrin. He has not featured at all in this race, very quiet. But Rafael Kamara comes home in 10th place, so that's as a result of Mikhail Sauter not finishing. So he does score a point in the Rookie Championship. That one will go through till tomorrow. But Andrea Kimi Antonelli is the champion in the ADAC Formula 4 Germany. Taylor Barnard just taking it all the way and pushing him all the way to the end, but these drivers mastering these wet conditions. And now just coming back round on the cool-down lap. And very shortly, it will be a joyous podium for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. It never looked in doubt. At one point, he had led the championship by over 100 points as they peel off into the pit lane. Then a non-appearance at the Lausitz Ring round allowed Taylor Barnard to close in to within 34 points of the championship lead. But there was nothing that Barnard could do about Antonelli here at the Nürburgring in these wet conditions. The new champion who takes over the mantle of ADAC Formula 4 champion from Ollie Beerman, who won it last year. And Andrea Kimi Antonelli stands on top of the car to celebrate. It's a victory in the race and it's a victory in the championship. His 9th win in 16 races in ADAC Formula 4 Germany. And there you see it. Champion for 2022, Andrea Kimi Antonelli. He poses for the photographs, a moment that he won't forget, and a moment that will be remembered when we look back, when he has made a name for himself in some of the more senior formulas. There is no doubt this driver is a champion in the future as well as a champion in the present. We hear rumours that he may be in Formula Regional potentially next year. Ferrari, of course, not Ferrari, Mercedes moving him up through the ranks, and he is part of the Mercedes junior team, and they will be working with him and nurturing him as he comes up through the ranks. Of course, Rafael Kamara, another of the Prema drivers, he is part of the Ferrari driving academy. And Ugo Chukwu, who is part of the McLaren junior team. And he is another star to keep an eye on. We look forward to seeing him on the podium in a few moments. So we just wait for the drivers to make their way through the podium. We're going to take a look at some of the highlights from the race as we see Andrea Kimi Antonelli winning his first championship. An historic race at an historic circuit. The Nürburgring has seen so many legendary races in the past, seen so many champions and stars in the making, and now you see a superstar of the present and of the future, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, clinching the 2022 ADAC Formula 4 Germany title. You can see him receiving the hugs from the Prema team as we get ready for him to come on to the podium. But an unbelievably talented driver who has been taken under the wing of Mercedes, part of their junior team, and has big, big things ahead of him. And he looks fairly calm and collected about the whole thing, really, doesn't he? And very shortly, the 16-year-old Italian will climb on to the podium to receive his winner's trophy. So a few conversations being had. An unusual podium here, not the regular one at the Nürburgring. Part of the ADAC weekend. And in just a few moments, they will be 1, 2, 3 will be brought up onto the podium. And we just wait for a couple of moments, and they will be here in just a couple of seconds. Here we go. So Ugo Chukwu taking his first podium in ADAC Formula 4 Germany. Everybody said to watch out for him, and he has proven that to be the case for Prema Racing. Second, the driver who took the championship all the way to the penultimate race, but couldn't quite make it to the final race. Taylor Barnard, second on the podium. But now, onto the top step of the podium, the winner of race 2 of the weekend, the winner of race 17 of the series, and the brand new champion in ADAC Formula 4 Germany, Andrea Kimi Antonelli. A representative from Prema Racing should be joining us on the podium in just a few moments. The winning team, the mighty Prema, once again almost a lockout of the podiums. And now we await the national anthem to conclude race 2. So that's a national anthem you're going to hear. We've heard it quite a few times this year already. You're going to hear it a whole lot more in the future. Andrea Kimi Antonelli taking that win, and he will receive a trophy in a moment. That's third place, going to Uga Chukwu. We'll be seeing plenty of him on the podium in the future, I've no doubt. The driver from the USA, who has been touted as one to watch. Taylor Barnard, he has shown his worth. The driver from Great Britain receiving his second place trophy. But the winner's trophy going to the driver who has just clinched the ADAC Formula 4 Germany Championship with one race to spare. That is Andrea Kimi Antonelli. We should have a trophy for the winning team and a trophy for the highest placed rookie, and that will be Uga Chukwu, who will also get a second trophy for his efforts. He drove very maturely in the wet conditions. So he receives the highest rookie trophy as well. So there's your 1, 2, 3 on the podium to conclude race 17 of this 18-race season. We have one more race to go tomorrow. There's still the rookie championship to be decided. We need confirmation on the team championship as well. But tomorrow, the top 8 will be reversed. So it will be Andrea Kimi Antonelli starting from 8 on the grid. And the driver on pole position will be Nandavid Birnbakti. The new champion will have to fight his way through. The gloves will be off. There's nothing else that Antonelli will need to think about apart from working his way through the pack. Who knows what the weather is going to be like? It'll probably be raining, but whatever it is, it's going to be exciting. It will be the final race of the season here at the Nürburgring. So, round 6, one more race to go, and then the season is over. But there is the champion for 22. It's Andrea Kimi Antonelli.